Are we ready? Okay. This is a meeting of the Glen Ridge Board of Education. We began our session in exec session. We're now ready to start the public portion of our agenda. Welcome back, everybody. It is our first board meeting since July, and I hope everybody has had a good back-to-school week, notwithstanding the heat. It is an evening of celebrations, and we will get on with those celebrations, but before we do, I want to pause to remember 3 individuals that we lost over the summer. The first 2 are relatives of board members. We lost Lionel Bonnet, brother of our colleague Anthony, and we lost Fidelma Boyd Ash, aunt of our colleague Tricia. We also lost a community member, former community member, Guy Kinley. Many of you knew the Kinleys. They lived on Ridgewood Avenue. Long-time involvement with the school, with sports. Children all graduated from Glen Ridge High School. So please keep those 3 individuals in your thoughts as we go forward. And now we have a little celebration, and I will read the preliminaries, and then my colleagues will carry on. This summer, we received the following letter from Dr. Richard Tomko, superintendent in Belleville, who headed the committee that chose Dirk Phillips as Essex County Superintendent of the Year. Dr. Tomko says, I have the distinct honor of sharing with you that the Glen Ridge Superintendent of Schools and our illustrious association president, Dirk Phillips, has been selected as the 2024 Essex County Superintendent of the Year. We recently assembled our Committee of Essex County Superintendents to review the nominations for this honor. The committee members had an opportunity to review Mr. Phillips' contributions and accomplishments based on the AASA criteria for district leadership. Mr. Phillips will now be considered by NJASA, that's the Superintendent's Association, at the regional and state levels for recognition. A press release will soon follow to celebrate this esteemed distinction. Glen Ridge is extremely fortunate to have Mr. Phillips' leadership throughout their educational community. Please join us in congratulating Dirk and Glen Ridge on this honor. So the first thing we do is...
Thank you.
And so, we're here tonight to celebrate this honor to the educator who is always our Superintendent of the Year. Many of you know him very well, but for those who don't, the following is a brief summary. Dirk Phillips has served as superintendent of the Glen Ridge Public Schools for 8 years, beginning in August 2015. The appointment was the culmination of a career in public education that began in the East Orange Public Schools, where Dirk was first employed as a math teacher. Arriving in Glen Ridge as a wrestling coach, Dirk was subsequently hired to teach math at Glen Ridge High School. Rising through the district's administrative ranks, he served as assistant principal of the high school, principal of the Ridgewood Avenue School, and principal at Glen Ridge High School. After a search that drew a pool of over 40 applicants, the Glen Ridge Board of Education selected Dirk for the superintendent position. He received his bachelor's degree from Moravian College, which is now Moravian University, and his master's degree in instructional leadership from Rutgers. He also received a certificate of eligibility in school business administration from Montclair State University. Active in professional and community organizations, Dirk currently serves as president of the Essex County Association of School Administrators. He also serves on the legislative committee of the Central New Jersey Program for Recruitment of Diverse Educators, known as CJ Pride, and the New Jersey Association of School Administrators. He is a member of the Glen Ridge Rotary Club and the Glen Ridge Educational Foundation Board of Trustees. He lives in Roseland with his wife, Lisa, who is also an educator, and his 3 children, Gabrielle, Brady, and Kelsey. And they are with us here tonight, I believe, in addition to his mother, Peggy. Yes.
Yes.
And now, I happen to query some of your colleagues about their thoughts on this honor. And so
I hope you edited it.
I always edit. But there was nothing bad to edit out, fortunately. So now my colleagues will read what your colleagues had to say, starting with Dave Campbell.
So playing the part of Matt Murphy, I will read what Matt Murphy wrote, and then what we're going to do is she's assigned a different administrator to each of us. We bear no resemblance to these administrators, and I will not attempt to embody Matt in any way. But what Matt wrote, Dirk is a good guy and a tireless worker. In my time with Dirk at the helm, he has never been one to seek accolades, recognition, or credit. He has only been concerned about making the best choices for helping us to evolve, and doing so with the primary consideration of what is best for the students in the district. Dirk has a great eye for detail. He has not managed to look past any potential improvement at Forest Avenue School. In fact, his visits are typically followed up with one photo, at minimum, of a necessary improvement for the principal to address. That probably goes for all the administrators. Dirk takes a listening approach when collaborating with his principals. Even when I suspect he is in disagreement with an idea or solution for a problem at school, he will listen patiently and explore your thinking. While he occasionally vetoes the outlandish idea, it is not unusual for him to support his administrator when he senses their passion about the best next step, even if he has a differing opinion. That definitely makes an administrator feel supported. Before Tracy reads what Matt went on to say, Matt wrote like a whole thing here. I'll mention my words to Dirk, which are these. As a board, I've been on the board for 10 years, and we don't really actually do anything. At least I have never actually done anything. I've been on the board while the board has done great things, and I've had a front row seat watching my colleagues do all sorts of great things. The only thing I've ever done, the only thing that I will take a little credit for, is hiring Dirk. That truly, when people say, well, you did this for all this time, what good did you do? Number one mission accomplished, number one thing on my list of things that I did good in the town is hiring Dirk. Thank you.
I'd like to echo that sentiment, David. I think as a board, that's clearly the best thing we ever did. Was we made an excellent choice 8 years ago, so we should pat ourselves on the back. But more than that, we should be patting Dirk on the back because you know, he saw us through the central school purchase and the bond referendum. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Through the bond referendum, COVID, you know, your leadership was just incredible. It really was. So, and I can't imagine what we would have done as a board or a community without you. So thank you. And now I will embody Matt. From a principal's perspective, I think Dirk did a fabulous job guiding the district through the pandemic years. Again, his collaborative approach for gathering input from his administrative team served as a good model for how principals could work best with their own staff during those trying times. He carefully applied just the right amount of pressure to keep us all moving forward safely and positively. Lastly, I am not sure how Dirk is able to keep so many details and happenings related to the district, the BOE, the partnering organizations, the schools, the staff, the families and children all straight in his head, but somehow he does.
And as a newer board member who can't take responsibility for hiring Dirk, I would just like to say that as board member, I've been incredibly impressed by his ability to listen and to really hear what is being said. And similar to what Matt Murphy wrote, I feel like nothing's a foregone conclusion. And it's such a rare quality for somebody to really consider all of the options and perspectives in a room. And I think it's a fantastic attribute for our superintendent to have. So I'm embodying Mike Donovan, and Mike says, one of the highlights of my career were the years when Dirk was principal at Ridgewood Avenue School and I was the assistant principal. We were the dynamic duo, Buzz Lightyear and Woody, Bert and Ernie, and more. We made amazing memories with the staff and to this day continue some great friendships with parents and students from those years. Those were the years when Dirk and Lisa welcomed Gabrielle, and the years when many of the admins didn't just team up during the day, but where we would spend time together with our young kids at outings. Meeting up at the Caravella house and then fishing at Grover Cleveland Pond was a favorite. Speaking of Dr. Caravella, I think enough time has passed where Dirk is no longer mad at him for putting the garden snake on his seat on the golf cart on one of our days golfing. snakes are Dirk's biggest fear. Dirk has always been a leader, and earning the top spot of Glen Ridge was inevitable. Certainly not a surprise for him to be recognized by Essex County as a leader amongst all superintendents.
Thank you. I would say for myself, what I really appreciate about Dirk is that he's willing to listen and seeks to keep improving our district. And one thing I've really appreciated is, even though sometimes it feels slower, I know he's building consensus with the staff and the faculty so that the changes we make are actually lasting. And I really appreciate that. Also from Mike Donovan, few have been invited to travel to China to share about best practices in the United States, but that tops the list of travels Dirk and I have had together. He's had others with other admins to spots like California, Nashville, New Orleans, and the glorious Atlantic City. He is the type of colleague where you can find his children as members of Winnie's wedding party, or where he's bound to ask you about your family and children, or cat, before getting into the nitty-gritty of school business.
And a final word from Mike Donovan. No one is more deserving of this recognition than Dirk. We have the ability to fight like brothers, solve crimes like superheroes, and laugh like friends. There are moments he can get mad at us, come down on us, or moments where he frustrates us. But in every one of those moments, we trust his leadership and start each day knowing he always puts Glen Ridge first. On behalf of the entire administrative team, we couldn't be more proud and more excited for Dirk to receive this honor.
Before I speak on behalf of Glory, I will just say, from my personal experience with Dirk, I have worked with him for a number of years in the home and school capacity, and one thing that I will always admire and value was your consistent ability and patience in teaching new parents as they come on board in a volunteer perspective. I know you have probably answered the same questions from different parents over the course of many, many years, but you always did it with grace and patience and understanding, and we always felt valued in all of those meetings. And I just, as a former home and school volunteer, I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate everything you do for this board and for our students. And now, speaking on behalf of our amazing administrative assistant, Glory, this is a bizarre one. As Dirk's bird feeder went missing while we were at Central School 2 years ago, I got him a new one as a gift. Weekly, he fills it because the burbs help with his stress. I get that. Last year, there was a large flock of birds that were nesting in the tree in our lot, and everyone was blaming Dirk for the birds pooping on their cars. The birds have not come back since, even though everyone blamed Dirk's bird feeder. We think it was just the migration pattern of the birds. Poor Dirk was blamed for a whole year for something he didn't cause, and we still laugh about it to this day.
I don't have too much more to add, but I just want to echo my colleagues, Dirk, in that I have appreciated your patience and your thoughtfulness in listening to all of us as parents, in home and school, here on the board. It's one of the, when you hear the phrase like still waters run deep, I think of you, because like there's so much going on, and you're just so quiet and working hard and making things happen for us. So I'm really grateful. Thank you. And now I'm going to share an anecdote from Barbara Murphy, our business administrator, who is also at this table, so she can corroborate. They say in a small district you wear many hats. A favorite was when I was on vacation and a bus aide called out sick, and Dirk rode the bus as the aide to pick up 20 special ed students. He put them all in their car seats and saw that they got to school safely and on time. That is true dedication. Lastly.
And there we go. Okay. So I've come to Board of Education meetings for about as long as Tracy and David have been members of the board, at least I think. And I will say that sitting in the audience and watching Dirk and then sitting on the board and working with Dirk, I got to see really two different people. I have to say, there is a appreciation that I got once I got on the board, because I saw things that I couldn't see as a person in the audience. They're just things that you don't see. We go to exec session and you hear stuff that you guys just can't hear. There are just facets of Dirk that I've learned in the terms I've been on, and it's been impressive, so I appreciate it. So with that, I will just say, and last but not least, John Heitman remembers. Dirk and I actually took a 30-minute cab ride to get In-N-Out Burger at a conference in California. That's it.
That's a mic drop.
And that is your colleagues. And what I want to say is, in my professional life, Dirk, I work with a lot of superintendents. There are the showboats who post every 30 seconds, especially selfies. There are the ones who talk all the time. There are the ones who never talk. But of all the superintendents that I've seen in action, including those in this district, Dirk is absolutely the best. And this district owes him so much. I owe him so much. And he never forgets the kids and the community, but especially the kids. So thank you, Dirk.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. For the time. Thank you.
And after the meeting, there are refreshments provided by our colleague, Tracy St. Auburn, who, if any of you have ever tasted her baking, you know that it is worthwhile staying through all the routine business just to get a cupcake that she made. Yes, get a cupcake. And also, we are in a few minutes celebrating Diane Blazier, and this celebration is in her honor as well. So with that, we'll flip the schedule. I will save the rest of the president's report for later so that we can get on to the serious business of the celebration of Diane Blazier.
Thank you. Diane, just so you know, Matt shared the photo with me, so if you don't like it, you can go complain to Matt. We have Diane, who's in her last month here in the Glen Ridge School District. She's a second grade Forest Avenue teacher. When you have a teacher who's been with us as long as Diane, it's more than being a classroom teacher. It's more than being one of the leaders in the building. She has taken so many young teachers under her wing and have taught them the profession and about the love of the children. And that's something you cannot find in anyone else. And to have that leave us is going to be heartbreaking for us and for Matt, I know. But we do want to wish Diane the best. She is our most tenured staff member in the district for about another 2 weeks. One of her colleagues at Forest will be taking that over. We want to wish her the best, and I'm going to call Matt to say some words for her. Yes, of course. Diane, you can come up.
Yes, Matt, sign in, give us your name, and you have 2 minutes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Matt Murphy. I'm the principal of Forest Avenue School, and I have the honor of speaking on behalf of Diane Blazier. I would like to welcome our colleagues who have stopped in tonight, and also Diane's family. I see Rick, and I see Kaylee there, so welcome. Diane Blazier is a Forest Avenue teacher who is still, as of today, fully committed to the teaching profession. For her entire career, she served as a second grade teacher, first at Linden, then at Forest. As far as teachers go, Mrs. Blazier is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I always tell people that I wish I could have observed so many of these wonderful veteran teachers before I became a teacher, because it would have made me a much better teacher than I ever was. Mrs. Blazier is the kind of teacher that I have in mind when I say those words. Had I been given an opportunity, I would have modeled my teaching approach on Diane's way of doing things. I think that most people who join the profession, they care for kids and they really want to see them grow. However, I'm not certain how many teachers can bring such a high level of energy, such a feeling of love, such a well thought out plan, and such an amazing capacity for helping her students in her class to meet and exceed as learners. Each and every day for, yes, it's true, 38 years. I know she could do another 10 years, but I hear that she and Rick want to do some vacationing during the lesser expensive times of the year. I'll definitely miss our discussions about the Sicilian square slices at Bruno's. Please do. But I will always remember Mrs. Blazier as the kind of teacher that children remember for a lifetime. So congratulations on a career well done.
Why don't you go ahead with yours, and then we'll do the goals and after.
We're going to move on with the superintendent's report. The first meeting of the new school year, there's a lot to cover, so I do want to start off by recognizing some other staff members. Maria DeCipris, a high school Spanish teacher, was named a Global Learning Fellowship, so she's going to be traveling a little bit and speaking about learning Spanish through different workshops throughout the country. And Shihong Zhang was named president of the New Jersey Chinese Teacher Association, and they recently hosted a conference at Montclair State University, which Ms. Zhang had a lot to do with organizing and putting that on. So congratulations to those two. During the summer, we had some summer training going on for Phonics First. We had 11 staff members getting trained on it, which we're expanding that program into our kindergarten program, but we also had some new teachers or teachers who changed grade levels who needed training on that. We're starting the school year off with running 2 cohorts in our Orton Gillingham certification program. We're very excited that at the end of this year, we'll have 7 additional teachers certified, and the end of next year, we'll have 5 additional teachers certified. So once again, thank you to the Glen Ridge Education Foundation for funding that. That's a huge expense that they take on, and we're very appreciative. Some district recognition. The U.S. News and World Report came out. Glen Ridge High School was recognized as one of the top high schools in New Jersey. We are ranked 13th. I do like to point out, though, the 12 schools ahead of us are all admission-only schools. So we are the first non-admission public schools rated in the state by U.S. News and World Report, and we were ranked 311th. Out of roughly 17,500. So very, it's nice to be recognized. I don't like to flaunt it too much because there's always more work to be done. And speaking of work, summer projects. We had several summer projects that I want to update the public on. We began the AC project for the second floor at the high school. You can see we have new unit vent and new shelving that are going in the classrooms and new condensers up on our roof. We're projecting that project to be completed by the end of the month. Originally, when we bid it out, it was supposed to be the end of October, beginning of November. Our contractors have done a great job of manning it and getting moving forward on it, so we're very pleased about that. New stair treads on the, up by the band room that goes up to the 3rd floor in the high school. Very happy about the way they turned out. We have the Glen Ridge Fitness Center, Glen Ridge High School Fitness Center going there, and working with the Home and School Association for the high school. They were able to replace all the equipment and do some renovating in there. It looks beautiful. And if you notice, we have new lines on the gym floor here at the high school because we've added volleyball this season. So the volleyball team will be playing their first home game next week. Is that correct, Rob? So on Monday. So come out on Monday, support the very first home girls volleyball game. At Ridgewood, we had, if you ever walked up that horseshoe, that fence was looking pretty rickety and hard to operate, so that was replaced. But something that's a little bit more aesthetically of an improvement is the library at Ridgewood Avenue School. New flooring and new furniture, because we're also going to be using that as a STEAM lab. So that really will become a multiple use center with having STEAM in there, having a library in there. And for those who are familiar with Ridgewood Avenue, we do have our guidance counselor in the back office, and she also received a new floor. As we talk about the new year, I do like to go over enrollment numbers, and you can see our primary schools numbers. The two asterisks at first grade Forest and kindergarten at Linden Avenue, they have 3 sections in those grade levels, and the others have 2. We've done a good job of, one of our goals is to put 7 sections in all our primary schools. Last year we started off with kindergarten. This year we have kindergarten, first grade, and next year we're hoping to have kindergarten, first and second grade with 7 sections. So our class size has gone down with our kindergarten, first grade numbers. Ridgewood Avenue class numbers are down just a little bit. We have a smaller class with our 5th grade, and our high school numbers, again, we have a couple smaller classes in there. Overall, our total enrollment at this time is 1,783 students, a little lower than it was last year, but there's, beginning of the year, we're seeing some transition with people still moving in, maybe transferring back from a private school. So we'll watch those numbers play out. We officially have to report our numbers out based on our October 15th enrollment. As far as classes over 25, we have 1 4th grade classroom. We have 3 middle school classes and 19 high school classes. So those are lower than we've been in the past, and that's always a good sign that we're able to manage our class size. District calendar. Can you, I have a link, I'm sorry, Winnie. We took some time getting out the 24-25 district calendar. We had a district calendar survey that went out, and I just really want to quickly go over this survey. Thanks, Winnie. We had, I think, 6 questions we asked. Overall, we just wanted to see how satisfied people were with the school calendar, the district calendar, and to see if we really need to make changes based on input. So we did break the questions up between students, staff, administration, and parents. The first question is just, how pleased are you with the current school calendar? And you know, it's tough pleasing students. You're seeing this survey. So a lot of 3s with the students. Staff pretty happy with 4s and 5s. Administration, 4s and 5s. Parents, pretty good numbers as far as being satisfied with the current district calendar. The second question asked, would you prefer to start the school year earlier? I know most people don't like that concept, and you can see that. The orange number color represents after Labor Day, and that's historically what we've done. A lot of districts are moving to starts before Labor Day. It gives them a little bit more flexibility in the calendar, and if they're looking to get more breaks or holidays in, that helps out. So you're going to see, obviously, the students definitely wanted to start it after Labor Day. Staff, same thing. Administration, most of them wanted to, but you can see that they understand the importance of getting an early start. And parents, also, the parents overwhelmingly wanted to say, I'm surprised, to be honest. You think after 2 months of summer, they'd be willing to send their kids back to school, but we also understand that around that time there's a lot of family time and vacations planned, so we need to be considerate of that. Third question was just asking about the February break. Are you happy with the way it is? We've played around with the February break over the years. We've always had a philosophy of trying to minimize the days in June because they're just not as productive as other school days. So the green represents extend the February break, while the orange represents do not modify. So students were pretty even with that. Staff, do not modify was overwhelming choice. Same with administration. And parents were 50-50 about extending the February break or keeping it as in. You know, overall, there's a theme of start later, have more breaks, and end earlier. That'd be ideal. It's just we do have that little mandate of 180 days. So moving on to the next question. Students, is it important to have a whole week off for spring break? Overwhelmingly, everyone thought this was an important concept. The students, the staff, the administrators, not as much, but they have to be here over spring break, so you can understand that. And parents, again, overwhelming, it's important to have that week. So the last question, I believe this was the last question. The last question was, well, if we wanted to add more breaks during the school calendar, what would you prefer? Continue as is, don't make any changes. Only observe federal holidays. There's about 11 federal holidays, and that's it. Or include additional holidays, and we got some mixed results here. The orange represents include additional holidays. The staff is overwhelming of just keep it as is. Administration, keep it as is. And parents, keep it as is. So the last question was, well, if we did make a change, what would you want that be? And we did give them the option of no changes, which is the purple. And the green is extend the school year, and the red is shorten the February break. So they had some options here. Most people, again, wanted us to not add additional holidays, the students, staff, but if some of them did talk about extending further in June. Administration, they did not want to add any additional holidays for the most part. And parents, a little 50% there about not adding, but also if we were to extend our days in June, which kind of goes against our philosophy. So you can go back to the PowerPoint. And I appreciate it, Winnie. So what did we do? We ended up adding an additional holiday. We did meet with a group of parents who would like to see Diwali recognized. They did have a signed petition. They came in and met with our policy committee and made some strong points that we considered, and looking at and trying to be more considerate of our diverse culture that we're seeing in our community. We are going to recognize Diwali. As part of the 24-25 calendar. So if you look at our highlights of the calendar, I believe we're starting on September 3rd, which is the day after Labor Day, next school year. We are recognizing Diwali, which at times will fall on a weekend, so it won't happen every year. And we are ending on June 18th in 24-25 as part of the holiday, right before, which is a Wednesday. And that's on the agenda for approval by the board tonight. As far as upcoming events, there's a lot going on at this time. I urge all the parents to just take notice, read those 2 o'clock emails. I know that they can be overwhelming every day, but take a look at them. Make sure you're in communication with your school, with your child's homeroom teacher to know what's going on as far as back to school nights, as far as guidance meetings are happening, homecoming dance, a lot of good events that happen at the beginning of the year. And we'll continue to keep you guys informed as much as possible. Thank you.
Back to the president's report, which is actually board business. The first item is we received an email from the Essex County School Boards Association, which is the Essex County branch of our local, of the New Jersey School Boards Association. And it says, New Jersey has a constitutional mandate to provide a thorough and efficient education to its residents. Central to achieving this objective is the principle of free access to a wide range of ideas and information. Emphasizing the significance of this constitutional mandate, New Jersey ensures that its educational system not only imparts knowledge, but also fosters critical thinking, intellectual exploration, and the development of well-rounded individuals. By guaranteeing unrestricted access to diverse resources for reading, including ideas and information, New Jersey encourages an environment where students can engage with a breadth of perspectives and expand their intellectual horizons. This commitment to comprehensive education reflects the state's dedication to preparing its citizens for the challenges and opportunities of a dynamic and interconnected world. So the Essex County SBA officers would like to propose a resolution on book bans at the upcoming NJSBA Delegate Assembly in December. And in order to achieve a consensus on that or not, the association will have a special Essex County meeting on Wednesday, September 13th. So, board colleagues, it is our obligation to decide how we would vote. Each district in the county, which there are 21, gets a single vote. So, does anybody have any thoughts on this before we go further?
No, I would express support for that.
Okay. Okay. Let's go around. Tricia?
So you're representing us tomorrow at this Zoom call to.
I will be
for this-
casting the vote
Okay.
at this meeting.
Yes.
And then our representative, Jocelyn, will go to the delegate assembly.
Okay, very good. So, yes, I agree that we would
Okay.
support it.
Heather?
Yes, I support
Okay. And Jocelyn, you said you support it. Kristen?
I support it.
Okay. Duval?
I support it wholeheartedly.
Anthony?
I support it.
I support it as well.
David?
Yeah, as do I. I'm sure you'll represent us well.
Okay, thank you all. And now, every year, the board undertakes its board self-evaluation, which is part of our annual cycle, and we use the results of the evaluation to determine our goals for next year. So, since the evaluation is rather lengthy and many of the categories do not directly relate to what we do here regularly, I digested the self-evaluation and in a summary that I sent to all board members. So let me read it out before, and then we'll discuss it. The areas of excellence that we pointed out, that most of us pointed out, is our strength in finance, with high praise for both our business administrator, Barbara Murphy, and for our superintendent, Dirk Phillips. We felt that we were strong in Board of Education ethics. We had high praise for the role of our superintendent and ourselves in board superintendent relations, and strong support for various presentations and updates done by Mr. Phillips throughout the year. And then we had areas that may need attention: reviewing action plans and monitoring the process of goals regularly. One comment was that discussions can be so granular that we do not get an adequate chance to talk about progress on goals. Better communication, outreach to community members who may not feel included, better understanding of significant policy changes and updates, check in with the school community on the progress of DEI and special ed efforts in connection with the recommendations made in our audits, greater recognition of staff achievements and honors, as we saw tonight, and a better understanding of how professional development and staff development impacts student learning and achievement. And then always more to be done. This is an evergreen one. Always more to be done on parent engagement within the time constraints of administrators, staff, and the Board of Education. And then we had to, at the end of the evaluation, as you all know, we had to identify our top priorities and challenges. And these are in no particular order. DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion, SEL, and cultural learning and respect, the post-COVID challenges of school culture and climate, student mental health, teacher efficacy, staffing, budget constraints given challenges to state aid and inflation issues, teacher contracts, the 2% cap, and the loss of federal COVID relief funds. finding well-qualified Board of Ed candidates, and also implementing the special ed audit. We also felt that we need to continue to work on Board of Ed consensus building, understanding the HIB process, and making sure that our decision-making is based on evidence rather than anecdotes. Emphasis on the board's role as policymakers. It was mentioned that we need to continue our efforts to balance co-curricular activities with the elective course options, and that we need more opportunities to reflect on goals and policies. So that's the short form of our self-evaluation. Does anyone have comments on that? Stricken everyone into silence. Okay, since we are in goal-making mode, let me read last year's goals, which I have here. I have a good deal of paper here. You can be thinking about which of those you want to put into this year's goals. Where are the goals? There they are. Okay, our goals for 2022-23 were oversee construction and presentation of sustainable budget with expanded explanation of what sustainable budget means in real terms. Give special attention to the impact of funding and revenue realities, including the availability of remaining federal COVID relief funds on the full range of district personnel and program needs. The second one was oversight of progress of special education and equity audit recommendations. And the third was improving reporting on the work of BOE committees, in order to keep the entire board and the public better informed. So that's what we've been working on. Those are the things that we reflected on in our self-evaluation process. Do you all feel ready to go on and try to frame some board goals for 23-24?
I actually have one idea about
Okay.
this, because during our board retreat, when we had Professor Elias speak with us, he spoke about positive purpose, and it feels to me that some of the topics that have come up here could fold into a goal of sorts, or I don't know if it's too big, around how do we affect positive purpose in our district, in our schools, in our staff. Maybe that we can flesh that out a little bit more, but I just thought that was such an incredible concept, and that it seemed, I don't know, it spoke quite a lot to me.
And I could
Personally.
certainly send you all the Dr. Elias slides again, just so we could review if you feel like that might help with the goal setting. What do you think?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do that.
I would second what Duval said, and just to add, I think in general, having a goal related specifically to culture and climate and continued exploration of that for our district would build on the board retreat. And
Okay.
there were definitely a lot of ideas there to look at.
Okay, yeah.
I also feel like, in light of the current teacher shortage, we should have a goal that sets forth how we can creatively address that, which may cross over into curriculum in some ways, because we may have to be creative on both fronts in order to ensure that we are able to fill positions like ours.
Okay. Other thoughts on possible goals?
I just really feel, I'm the one that talked about granular. I really feel like we need an opportunity to kind of take a step back and be able to take a look at the big picture that we often end up dealing with the day-to-day when we meet. And you're going to hate me, but maybe a longer meeting once in a while, or something where we can have the focus of that instead of dealing with the granular stuff, that we can really take a step back and take a look at how we're doing. Just like we said, we report out, I think, every quarter or something. Maybe we can coordinate those two.
Maybe like a mini retreat?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, other thoughts?
I don't. I agree with a lot of what I've heard so far, so let's flesh them out and see where we get.
Okay. Anything else? So I will put this in writing, but I'll also send the Elias slide so you can send me back your ideas in connection with that, because that certainly was a significant investment of our time, and I thought Dr. Elias did a great job. So a little reminder 2 months out will help us, and we can, so send me, when you've looked at those slides, send me your thoughts, and I will collate them into a version that we can discuss at our next meeting. Okay.
Thank you.
That is the president's report.
Betsy, if I could interrupt you real quick. I forgot that we, and I apologize, to introduce the two young people, men,
Yes.
at the end of the table. They're not there just to make us all look older. Last year was a first year of a new state mandate that all boards must have a student representative on their board. And this year, we're lucky to have two. We have Dylan O'Neill, Dylan, give him a wave, and David Kelly. So their responsibilities will be to represent the high school student body and to keep us informed what is happening. When we have concerns or questions, they're going to give us feedback from the student point of view, and they're going to be reporting back to the student body. So we're very pleased to have them and welcome. And as I told you guys earlier, we'll have your nameplates for you probably at the next board meeting.
And in a minute, we'll come back to you for your report, gentlemen. Okay, we have now come to the public comment period, the first public comment period for questions or comments on agenda items only. For those of you who are not familiar with our protocols, please, if you have a question or comment, step up to the microphone and sign in. Identify yourself, confirm your Glen Ridge residency. If you're affiliated with a group, please let us know that as well. And then the time limit is 2 minutes. Kristen, would you be the timekeeper? Sure. Kristen will be the timekeeper, and she will sing out when it is time. So with that, does anyone have any questions or comments? On agenda item?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're talking about the calendar, right? That's on the agenda.
Sure.
So my name is Mary Ellen Cusmano, 297 Ridgewood Avenue, Glen Ridge, New Jersey. I've reviewed the school calendar, very supportive of including the Festival of Lights, one of my favorites. Diwali is lovely. And I would like to also include that for the written calendar, that December 25th, we acknowledge Christmas for the very same reasons we acknowledge Yom Kippur, or we acknowledge, other religious holidays by name. So I'm making a request that that be possible on the Glen Ridge calendar. For the remainder of the days that are not actual holidays, in December, where we do have a break, we can certainly indicate them as December break if that's what you choose, but it's truly a Christmas break, and Christmas Day is Monday, and it should be recognized as such.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?
I'm sorry, I missed what Mary Ellen just said, so I hope I'm not repeating her, but,
If you are, that's okay.
okay. So my question is, can you please go back,
Would you identify yourself first?
Fran Deacon, can you go back to, you read something from some agency that's having a vote on the 13th, and you're submitting the vote for the board, and you all voted on it. What was that? Because I couldn't understand what you were saying.
Sorry. It is the Essex County School Boards Association, which is the Essex County arm of the New Jersey School Boards Association. But there is an association of school boards in each county.
Okay.
And they meet regularly.
Okay, and what was it that you're voting on?
We are voting on a resolution from, crafted by the Executive Committee of the Essex County School Boards Association on freedom of expression and book banning. So what that involves, I'll explain the procedure a little bit. Twice a year, the New Jersey School Board Association has a delegate assembly. with delegates. As you know, all school districts are part of the New Jersey School Boards Association by law. So the delegate assembly is really the governing body of the New Jersey School Boards Association. And any school board or county association can put forward a resolution before that body. But before a county does it, they have to get a vote of the members from that county. And each district gets one vote.
Okay,
So even if we send 17 people, we still get one vote.
okay.
So what I was asking is for a consensus of our members for the one vote that Glen Ridge gets.
Okay, and what exactly is the vote for? I still don't understand what the resolution is.
Okay, I'll read it off again because that's the best way of doing it. And I apologize if I wasn't speaking close enough to the microphone. Sometimes it happens. All right. Here's the resolution. New Jersey has a constitutional mandate to provide a thorough and efficient education to its residents. Central to achieving this objective is the principle of free access to a wide range of ideas and information. Emphasizing the significance of this constitutional mandate, New Jersey ensures that its educational system not only imparts knowledge, but also fosters critical thinking, intellectual exploration, and the development of well-rounded individuals. By guaranteeing unrestricted access to diverse resources for reading, including ideas and information, New Jersey encourages an environment where students can engage with a breadth of perspectives and expand their intellectual horizons. This commitment to comprehensive education reflects the state's dedication to preparing its citizens for the challenges and opportunities of a dynamic and interconnected world. So that's the wording of the resolution that the county association will be voting on tomorrow night. And then that will go to the State School Boards Association at the December Delegate Assembly, where it will be put forward by Essex County, by the Essex County Association, and voted on by that body. And the logical question after that is, well, what happens if they all vote yes or they all vote no in the State New Jersey Association? It becomes part of the policy. If they vote yes, if they approve the resolution, it becomes part of the policy of the New Jersey School Boards Association. If they vote no, obviously, it doesn't become a part of that. And before the vote, there is always discussion and debate about the resolution and any resolutions.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. But when you did the original read and then everybody was voting, you used the word book ban. So can you explain to me what those words mean as far as that is? You said book bans. You specifically said we're voting on something to do with book bans.
That's because it's in, and I'm sorry, I didn't read the last paragraph. Through that, the Essex County SBA officers would like to propose a resolution on book bans, which is what I just read to you, at the upcoming NJSBA Delegate Assembly in December. To do this, we will have a special Essex County School Boards Association meeting on Wednesday, September 13th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. So what they're doing is they're saying that this long resolution that I just read to you, they are shortening the description and just saying a resolution on book bans. But the resolution is what I just read to you.
Okay, so when you said it's a resolution on book bans and we all voted quickly and said yes.
I
So
am
what
quoting
are-
the language of
Right,
the...
right. What are we voting? We're voting to support the first thing, which I understand, the diverse opportunity of reading and critical thinking skills and access to information. But what does that then, how does that translate into we're voting to what, that there'll be no, what is the book ban? What specifically is the language, the definition of a book ban? Because we just voted to support something that is ostensibly to protect any school or any public educational institution of what you were described as a book ban, but what is a book ban?
Well, there is no description here. I think that that is self-evident.
Well, I don't think it is.
And I think that...
No, I think that's open to a lot of interpretation,
I
and
think
I think
that-
we should have clarity for voting.
This is public comment, so, and you've, with the help of me, we've far exceeded the 2 minutes.
Okay.
I think the book ban is self-evident, so thank you.
Okay, but I don't think it's self-evident.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?
Anybody else would like to know what a book ban is?
This is not a forum.
I'm just
Please
asking.
Please take your seat.
May we move on? Great, thanks. My name is Sushma Jindal. I'm a relatively new Glen Ridge resident. I live around the corner. I have 2 children at Central, and I'm surrounded by some more community members here. We just wanted to thank you for putting Diwali up on a calendar for consideration and approval. I think it's something that most of us have been very encouraged by, seeing Glen Ridge's commitment to increase diversity. It sends a message of inclusion. It certainly does to represents billions of us around the globe, as it is. It is a multi-faith holiday at the end of the day. But most importantly, I think we're all just very encouraged by the openness and the willingness to listen to us. We had very productive, wonderful conversations, many of us did, with Betsy and Dirk throughout the last couple of months, and just wanted to express our thanks and sincerity in that.
Thank you.
Lavi Raghavan, 416 Ridgewood Avenue. Just to add to that, thank you so much for listening and taking our request into consideration. Thank you, BOE. This means the world. I'm going to tear up at this point. This means the world to our families to be able to celebrate Diwali at home with our families. And, you know, to have our South Asian American culture represented and included in this way, it does me proud, and it should do Glen Ridge proud. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Nina Patel, 107 Clark Street. I'm a new resident of town as well, about a year now, but I am a lifelong New Jersey resident with some stints out of state. But born and raised, you know, Jersey City, Belleville for 18 years. You know, my parents are still here as well. And I would like to say that I wouldn't imagine this happening back then. Thank you for putting this on the calendar. I believe that Glen Ridge has a stigma that it is not diverse, it's not inclusive. And I do get it from other towns when I go over to Milburn or Livingston. And it's not true. Our diversity is growing very quickly within this town. Our neighbors are supportive. We've got a great group that's been coming out, talking to everybody. And I've seen it in the schools too. So I do want to say thank you. It's a big, big deal. And I think, who cares what other people think? I think it's important that our children and our administration and our teachers are seeing we're getting this day to celebrate our neighbors with this multi-faith holiday. And that's what's really important, because our children are the ones that are growing up together and doing this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kavita Kumar. I'm at 38 Chestnut Hill Place. I think I'm echoing some of our South Asian neighbors here as well. We also had signed the petition. There are about 400 odd signatures that we had, so thank you so much for your consideration. Last year in my street on Chestnut Hill Place, we had a Diwali block party, and so many kids came to celebrate and learn so much about Diwali. My son, he said this was the best Diwali for him, so it sort of dawned on us how important it is to our kids to have this festival and celebrate it with their friends and family and our neighbors as well. So thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?
Thank you. Nina Kundra, 42 Woodland. My family and I made the decision to move to Glen Ridge a little over a year ago. In addition to its stellar academic reputation, we were impressed with the strides taken by the BOE and local government to make Glen Ridge more equitable and inclusive. Establishing Diwali as a school holiday has demonstrated that the community values the diverse cultural makeup for our town and region. I want to thank you for your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and affirming your support for all members of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ellen, you've already had your public comment.
I know, but on the tail end
We
of-
have a second public comment period
Okay.
at the end. Other questions or comments? Okay. All right, board members, it is the first meeting of the month. Shall we go ahead with committee and liaison reports? I hear no objections, so Tricia, let's start with you.
So the high school has not had their safety, it's not until next week, so nothing to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. And I should say Tricia is our new liaison to the Glen Ridge High School Home and School Association, so congratulations. Heather?
Sure. The curriculum committee met at the end of August. We took an initial look at the NJSLA results for math and language arts. We heard about proposed changes to the middle school program, particularly the cycle classes, incorporating more social emotional learning and executive function skills. We also heard about curriculum review this coming year will be science, and a brief discussion of the professional staff development that's scheduled for this year.
The negotiations committee has not met, but we will be redoing the administrator contract sometime in the 23-24 school year. And the Ridgewood Avenue School update is a little bit short because I missed the home and school meeting on Friday due to my son's emergency doctor's appointment. So I apologize, but Ridgewood had their welcome back night already last week and has already had their first home and school meeting, so the next one will be in the beginning of October.
Okay, Kristen?
I have a few. I'll try to be brief. Linden's Home and School Association started the year off with fun playground meetups for each class during the last week of August. They also sponsored a back-to-school breakfast for Linden faculty and staff last Thursday with bagels, coffee, yogurt, and snacks. Like many local events, the traditional Welcome Back Pizza Party that was scheduled for this past Friday night was postponed because of the rain. It's taking place tonight, or it took place tonight, and given the beautiful weather we had today, I'm sure it was a big success. This Friday, the Home of School is hosting a parent coffee meet and greet after drop-off in the Learning Garden. And looking forward to next week, Linden will also host their first book fair of the year for students and families, which overlaps, I think it's 2 days next week, and it also coincides with their Linden's back-to-school night, which is happening next Thursday. Committees for discovery and lunch days are meeting now, so parents should look for more information to be out on those soon. And looking a little bit forward on the Linden calendar, the Mum and Crumb sale is scheduled for Friday, October 5th. So folks should start planning their fall garden needs now to take advantage of that fundraiser. The first home and school meeting of the year will take place on September 27th in the evening in the multipurpose room, and the full calendar of meeting dates can be found on the Home and School tab under the Linden Avenue School homepage. For Gas Lamp, they have a ton going on this fall. For the littles, they have the Fall Kids Workshop, which is presenting Finding Nemo. Those performances will take place in mid-December. They're already in rehearsals. For the middle grades, 5th through 8th, they have Mean Girls Junior. I had a fetch joke in here, but it's not gonna, I wouldn't be able to pull it off. Rehearsals are getting underway now with performances scheduled for mid-November. And for teens, Gaslamp will present Rent, the School Edition, in early December. So we can all sing Seasons of Love until then. And all of this leads up to the big news, which is that the Mayor's Gala this year will benefit the Gaslamp players with proceeds from the evening helping to support future productions as well as their scholarship fund. The date for the gala is Saturday, October 21st, and it will take place at the Glen Country Club. The evening's host will be Tony Award-winning star of stage and screen Kelly O'Hara, and tickets to this event are available for purchase now through the Gaslamp Players website. And lastly, I'm almost done. I wanted to mention that the Glen Ridge Arts Patrons Association has been reborn as the Glen Ridge Visual Arts Association. Their mission is still the same, to support students within the Glen Ridge High School who are engaged in visual arts programs with scholarships, awards, and supplies. Parents with children in the visual arts programs are encouraged to become active members of this association by reaching out to grvaa.info@gmail.com.
Okay, thank you. And before we finish the board liaison reports, gentlemen, you have a report for us, and I know you've been waiting patiently to give it, and you may actually have activities or homework to do, so please go ahead.
So coming into the school year, there were two concerns that students had, which was the new phone policy that was going into place, and also the weather and how it was going to be very hot in the first few days of school. And so the new phone policy has been going pretty well so far. I've heard no major complaints. Everyone seems to be listening to the rules. They're pretty simple. It's no phones in class, and if you're going to use the restroom, you need to turn your phone in to be able to take out pass and use the bathroom. And so it's been going pretty well. And also with the heat, we were able to have some half days last week. Thanks to the best superintendent in the county. And so, all that's been going pretty well, and Dylan has some extracurricular things to talk about.
Yeah, so as Mr. Phillips said earlier in his report, the student council is hosting the homecoming dance next Friday, the 22nd, I believe. And we are all excited to dance and vote on our homecoming king, queen, duke, and duchess. Then along with that, earlier in the day, we have our pep rally, which we call Reggie Day, where we're going to celebrate all of our varsity teams and their athletes, along with play some games.
Okay, thank you. Now, continuing, Duval.
I didn't realize homecoming was so soon. The Forest Avenue Home and School Association will meet tomorrow night, so I do not have an update other than to say that they have secured a new home and school president, Amanda Mazza. I'm not sure if she's the sole president or if she'll be co-president, but I do know that that happened over the summer. So I also understand that they had play dates and they had pizza parties and all of these things in the last few weeks, end of August and beginning of the season. So I'll have lots more to tell you next time.
Okay, Anthony, our friends at GRAA have anything?
I don't have a report. I do know that they were looking for some replacement in leadership, and I'm not sure if that has occurred. They were soliciting new GRAA commissioners for a few areas. So I hope to hear that they found one, and then I can hopefully start attending some meetings.
Okay, to be continued. Tracy?
Yes, oh, that's okay. I do not have a report for Central School yet this year, but as with the other schools, I'm sure they're up and running and doing all kinds of fun back-to-school activities. The Educational Foundation has not yet met this September, but I know that it's part of their bylaws that they will be meeting within the next couple of weeks. And thanks again to them for everything that they've done funding all of our initiatives. And I know there's probably a long list that Dirk and the administrators are going to be passing along. Personnel and Policy met a couple of times this summer. We met on August 31st, and we discussed staff issues, transfers and open positions. And as you can see from the agenda, that's ever-changing. We also discussed the use of facilities policy for outside groups. And we discussed a number of confidential personnel and policy issues as well.
Okay, having relinquished my high school duties to Tricia, I am still the liaison to the GRDIA, which will be having its rain-delayed picnic this Sunday at Harrell Field. I think it is 2 to 5, sorry, 2 to 5. So fingers crossed for good weather. David.
The Communications Committee met week before last to discuss potential changes to the website of the schools, and the Finance and Facilities Committee met yesterday to go over what went on this summer and all the improvements, which Dirk shared with the group. And then, of course, Barbara's initial take on the budget. The budget process does not start in September, but I'll remind everybody that the budget calendar will be on the website, and we'll make announcements about it throughout the year, culminating in the spring.
Okay. You have in your packets minutes from the meeting of July 25th, executive session and regular session. Does anyone have any changes to those minutes?
No changes.
All right, that being the case, may I have a motion? Tracy, would you move the minutes?
Yes, I move M1.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second from David. Since there are no changes to the minutes, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Ms. Akinwande?
Aye.
Mr. Bonnet?
Abstain.
Mr. Campbell?
Aye.
Ms. Gottlieb? Ms. Graham? Ms. O'Neill? Ms. St. Aubern? Dr. Yaros Ramos?
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we have administrative items on the agenda. David, would you move the administrative items?
I move A1 through A5.
May I have a second? Second from Tracy. Any discussion on the administrative items? Okay, seeing none. Barbara, would you call the roll?
Ms. Akinwande?
Aye.
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Mr. Campbell?
Aye.
Ms. Gottlieb? Ms. Graham? Ms. O'Neill? Ms. St. Aubern? Dr. Yaros Ramos? Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Personnel items. Tracy, would you move the personnel items?
Yes, I moved P1 through P25, which includes multiple items on the attached agenda.
Okay, may I have a second?
Second.
Second from Anthony. In keeping with our rules and the board members' code of ethics, personnel items are discussed in executive session. So Barbara, would you call the roll?
Ms. Akinwande?
Aye.
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Mr. Campbell?
Aye.
Ms. Gottlieb? Ms. Graham?
Aye.
Ms. O'Neill? Ms. St. Aubern? Dr. Yaros Ramos? Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye.
Motion carries.
We have now come to the curriculum items. Heather, would you move the curriculum? We don't have curriculum items. They're listed. And I was thinking there was one on the addendum, but there isn't. Okay, so we won't have curriculum items. We've now come to the business items. Before we vote on them, I would draw your attention to the donations listed on your agenda under B12. Glen Ridge Educational Foundation donation of $6,300 for the Spring 2023 Innovation Mini Grants, and a donation from St. Teresa of Calcutta Parish Immaculate Conception Church of some classroom furniture for Glen Ridge High School valued at approximately $4,600. So thank you to those generous donors. And now, David, would you move the business items?
I move B1 through B13, including amended B5.
Okay, may I have a second? Second from Heather. Any discussion on the business items?
I'm looking forward to workshop.
Okay, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Ms. Akinwande?
Aye.
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Mr. Campbell?
Aye.
Ms. Gottlieb? Ms. Graham?
Aye. And do I have to abstain on B11? since
You
the-
can.
Okay. yes. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Aye to the rest.
Yeah, oh, yes, sorry.
Thank
Aye.
you. Ms. O'Neill? Ms. St. Aubern? Dr. Yaros Ramos? Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg, would you like to abstain on B8?
And then I should abstain on B10.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry, B9A.
Oh, sorry. Got it. Motion carries.
Thank you. Now we will have the second public comment period for questions or comments on agenda items or other items pertaining to the running of the schools. The same protocols apply.
Robin Renteria, 14 Douglas. In February this year, a 14-year-old from Bayville, New Jersey, died by suicide. In early March, Mrs. Ginsburg, you were interviewed as part of your position with the Garden State Coalition of Schools.
Excuse
about
me,
it.
can you speak into the microphone a little bit more? It's hard, it's just hard here.
Sorry. In February this year, a 14-year-old from Bayville, New Jersey, died by suicide. In early March, you were interviewed as part of your position with the Garden State Coalition of Schools about it, and you asked, what are we doing now? Is it working? And is there something else we can do? What isn't mentioned in that interview, whether by your omission or theirs, is that a mere 4 months earlier, a student who had just graduated from this school district died by suicide just a few months after starting college. And here we are at the beginning of another school year during National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. It's National Suicide and Prevention Awareness Week. And so I sincerely ask all of you the same question. What are you doing now? Because it isn't working. It didn't work for my son, Max Renteria, and it hasn't worked for other students. And finally, what else are you looking so that you can do? And I am here because I love this community. I'm here because this community saved my family in the weeks after Max died in November. Mostly I'm here because no other kid should feel like Max did, and no other family should be as irrevocably broken as we are and will always be. The third leading cause of death amongst adults is stroke. We do so much as a society, including, it's what I used to do for a living. We research, we educate, we work to improve care, we teach each other to learn and recognize the warning signs. But the third leading cause of death among teens is suicide, and we are not doing enough. And I know that's time. I'm here to offer my help. My son, we created a foundation in his name. It gives soccer scholarships, but due to the generosity of this community, we have money to assist. Mr. Phillips, I emailed you about this earlier. I want to help. We need to make this better. Kids need it. They deserve it. And we can all do better as a community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Just a reminder that I did ask a question, and I know I didn't get an answer, and it doesn't need to be provided now, but I would like to get an answer in email concerning the calendar, because I wanted to make the statement after the tail end of theirs, because it's so heartfelt how important certain holidays are to people, to their cultures, and to their traditions. And Christmas is that for me. And that's all I have to say. And
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I would hope that you would enjoy the refreshments. The board needs to adjourn briefly into executive session, but the public business of the board is finished for the evening. So thank you all for attending. And board members, may I have a motion